Hello, everybody. This is our second Fireside chat.
Back.
We've been back after a little bit of a hiatus there, setting up our service, but we'll try to be back every month. So today we're going to just go over some submitted questions from this past love series that we did, this sermon series on love, and we just hope that it's helpful. So, Koi, who's in the room with us today?
We have very, very close friends of ours and fellow co-laborers for WildFire Church. We have Rico.
Thanks for having me.
And Sarah here as our guests.
Hello.
And we are going to be chatting about love. As funny as that sounds, right? So let's just jump straight into it. We don't want to waste our time. We want to get straight into the meat of this. So let's go to the first question. Here we go. How do you know if you're called to permanent singleness or if you are called for marriage? Anyone want to take that?
Yeah, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned, these are submitted by just different people in the congregation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, I don't know. I think, how do you know if you're called to, how do you know if you're called to be married? I mean, sometimes you don't know, and I think that, I really think that, if you woke up today and you are single, you should try to do your very best to use your singleness for the glory of God. Yeah. If you woke up today, you're dating, or you're married, you should use your dating relationship, your marriage, as much as you can for the glory of God. And if you're single right now, if he does call you to marry down the future, that's great. Yeah. But I think it's just a daily practice of today I woke up single, and so I'm going to use my singleness for the glory of God. I don't know if he's going to give me a marriage down the line, but today, I do want to use my singleness for his glory. But what do you guys think?
Yeah.
Don't we all wake up single at one point?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And so I think that at the beginning of your life, you should be using your singleness as how God wants you to. Paul describes it as a gift, and singleness has its advantages despite popular belief. You can do so much in ministry while you're single. So.
Well, I certainly agree with you. Being single gives you a lot of time to serve, like you said. Gives you ample time to use your talents, your skills to serve the Lord. And it's up to us whether we can use it for that or for other things. It can be spent doing things that are a distraction that it wouldn't necessarily help us. So certainly agree with you on that one. Yeah, and I think I see singleness as being a blessing. So it gives you that time to work on yourself and prepares you for being in union with someone. So I see it as that, and but from the outside, from the world, they see it as it's kind of lonely.
Forever alone.
Yeah. So it's very like a unique time where you can find yourself and just focus on your career, on serving, on spending time with the Lord,
Sure.
And it prepares you for being in a relationship,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I think to answer the question, how do you know if you're called to singleness? I think some people, they will know, God will put that on their heart that they are called to singleness for the rest of their life. And for some people, God will put that on our heart that they're called to marry. But some people, they won't feel that calling, and they just have to take it one step at a time, and one day at a time. And today I woke up single, and let's use this time to grow.
Yeah, to grow. Yeah.
That's how I would say.
Yeah. Sarah, any female perspective on that?
Yeah, so I think, for me, when I wasn't dating, I had the fear, what if I'm just going to be single for the rest of my life? And I think a lot of people have that.
Yeah.
But I do think it takes a lot of patience. I don't think you'll know the answer right away. And you'll... Yeah, just be in prayer of it. Keep talking about if you have desires to be in marriage, because I think a lot of people have the desire for marriage. Totally. And that's a sign that, hey, maybe God wants you to be married, but some people don't have that desire. And that's kind of kind of a telltale sign that maybe you're not called for marriage.
Yeah.
And both things
both are good.
Yes.
Yeah, both are good.
Both are very good.
Yeah, equally as good, I think.
I mean, Paul was single.
Yeah,
and
Jesus
Paul,
was single.
Jesus was single,
was saying that, I can't quote it word for word, but he was saying, like, I can't be like all of you.
Yeah, Paul says, like, I wish for you guys to be just as I am.
Yeah.
He refers, like, I actually want you guys to all be single.
So you can do,
so you can do so much more with your just time and your faith and everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Let's move on to the next question, which is a steamy one. Are we able to express our sexual desires in a way that's honorable to God? That's a dicey one. That's good.
Well, I think Pastor Butch talked about like the Song of Solomon and how in the Song of Solomon it's so very much in depth about love, physically, the emotions and everything. And so I think God is definitely, He designed us to be in part sexual beings, and He is pro, romance and pro love. He is love, and so I think, like God isn't, wanting you to hide how you feel with your sexual desires from Him. I think He created you to be like that, and He wants you to bring that to Him. I think, there is like pros and cons where it comes with like lust and things like that, but I think, you can honor God by bringing that part of your person that you're created to be to Him in prayer or whatever that looks like for you. But what you guys say?
Just to echo kind of what you're saying, I think that I know we are created as sexual beings. So there's an emotional aspect to us, but there's actually a sexual aspect to us too. And it's kind of important to just steward it correctly. And I know that's like, oh my gosh, what do you mean steward your sexuality? But knowing like the context of where you can express it, and then knowing when you shouldn't. So.
Yeah, kind of to piggyback off that, I feel like it's also, we kind of discussed this a little bit. I think when we express it, there's also a time and place, like you said, and I think the main part for me is that you still choose Jesus, even over your desires. I think a lot of it happens where we want to do certain things or we think of certain things, but Jesus said, pick up the cross, and you do that by choosing Jesus, and you pick it up every day, and you tell people, look, man, I really want to do this, but I think Jesus wants me to do this instead. This is still better than my own thoughts, my own flesh, and so I think we can express them, and if we're very like honest with God in our prayer and all that. But I think there's something more to be said when we choose Jesus first, in front of anything that we even desire or even think about. So.
Very true.
I think when you look at that question, you gotta inspect your intentions of asking that question. You gotta like ask yourself, are you doing this for God? Like,
sure.
Do you have Jesus in your heart? Whenever you're thinking about this, or whenever you're pursuing something, you always gotta ask yourself, do I have the right intentions?
Sure. Sure. Are we all good? Everyone cleared their chest on that one?
Yeah.
Good.
That was my submission, so thank you guys.
Good. Let's tackle how to handle long-distance relationships. This is a good one. I could start off with this. I'm married. My wife is behind the camera because she's not quite ready to speak on film yet. But we actually experienced it for a couple months when I spent my summer here and she was back home in the Philippines. But for me, I think long-distance relationships can work. I don't say they will always work, but I think that depends on the same sacrificial love you have for anything that you love, right? So my wife was across the globe, so our time difference was 13 hours. So I would stay up like till midnight to talk to her for an hour or two, and she would stay up or get up early at 4 a.m. to talk to me when it was my time. And so they can work. It's not easy, but I think there's definitely it also, if you're serious about the relationship, it actually helps you be closer because it's more of more sacrificial, and so it makes you say, okay, let me do my best to make it work, and not do the bare minimum, for example, right? But yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on these things?
Yeah, I mean, I never had a long distance relationship, so I don't have a whole lot to say. But what I would say is that, it's definitely not a sin to have a long distance relationship.
No, for sure.
God would not. There's nothing in the Bible
it's
says
not banned.
That is just a no or something like that. So
sure.
And I think, like you were saying, it's really difficult, but but I think God can really, if you do put God in the center, He can really bless it
for sure.
and make it something that's even more fruitful than maybe a closer relationship. So.
Sure.
So something that's very practical is to set expectations with this partner before you become long distance, and I think that will set yourself up for success, like to avoid disappointments in the future.
Yeah.
So just having that open, intentional dialogue with your partner, saying like, like I want this to work, but sometimes I don't know if I can, just to be realistic and open with them.
Absolutely.
But really, and if things change along the way, readjust your expectations. The communication is really important in any relationship. So I think that is like the biggest thing I would advise for those who are in long distance. We have someone here at church who has been in a long distance relationship and is engaged.
Gonna be married in a few months.
So it's not always a failure.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes you can make it work.
Yeah, for sure.
I might be on the minority on this, but I can see some pros in long distance relationships. But you might go ask like pros, and because it doesn't make sense, right, for a lot of people. But for me, because whenever you're in a long distance relationship, right, you give so much effort. You actually put a lot more effort than like a normal relationship would, right? Because there's no physical aspect to it, right? You're not seeing each other, and gives you ample time to miss each other, and at the same time, it gives you time to like I said, like build on yourself, build on your character, spend time with the Lord. You can use it for like serving in the church, So I see some pros in that. Of course, you can also use it for you can be distracted like with other things,
of course,
while you're away with your partner, right? But if this relationship is set into something really solid, and you have Christ in this relationship, like everything would work. It doesn't matter like if you're just like live next to each other. Well, I hope not, right? Not until you're married, of course. But I see some pros in like long distance relationships.
Yeah, that's good. Man.
Sure. Good stuff. So next question: how do we handle dating within the group? This one's a little bit tricky, but we're assuming this is just like the same group of friends, and they happen to be dating. Is what we're assuming this question roots from. But what do you guys think about dating within the group?
Yeah, I mean, to that, I would say one thing that you want to watch out for if you are like the couple among a group, and maybe the group has a majority of single people or things like that, is just to care for them by modeling your relationship to them. I think the Bible says don't cause other believers to stumble, and so if you know that they're having hard times with their dating life, maybe don't flaunt your relationship in front of them, or just be mindful of those around you. Are you being so touchy? Are you only paying attention to your significant other while you're with your other friends? Which of course it's kind of a balance, because you want to serve your significant other, but you don't want to be obsessed with them, and alienate yourself from the group.
Sure.
And still be very inclusive of the group, and so it might be maybe a skill, but I think it's kind of something that would bless the other people in the group as well. So.
Yeah. What do you guys think? You guys agree?
certainly agree with Jeremy. And it's a lot of times when in your group setting, right, and you're in a relationship, like you try your best to like entertain your partner, right. At the same time, you don't want that to distract you.
Sure.
Like to just like Jeremy said, you gotta be a model to your friends within the group, right? And you don't want to cause them to stumble, like you said. So I very much agree with that.
Agree? I agree completely. So I don't have anything else to add. So now we move on to how to deal with toxic relationships. How to deal with toxic relationships.
Break up. That's all.
Oh, wow.
Break up.
That's all I can say.
Drop the hammer.
That's all I can say.
There you go. Wise words.
Okay.
Um,
What are you guys' thoughts about this?
yeah, I mean, you want to go first on that?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I would say it depends. I mean, it can depend what you mean by toxic, but yeah, I mean, definitely like if you guys are still in the, it's also different if you're in the dating stage or marriage stage.
Yeah,
you know, if you're in the marriage stage, it's
a
lot
completely different
if
context.
you've made a covenant, but and that comes with a lot of difficulties there. But assuming that they're still dating, I think you know if there is like verbal abuse or just like, you know, real red flags of ungodliness, then I would say, you know, you have a lot of room to get out of there, you know. You want to be with someone who models Christian characteristics, Christ-like characteristics, and if they're causing a lot of toxic, bringing up a lot of past hurts and stuff like that, then
get out of there.
I mean, God would not want you to be
out of there.
Sarah, so what would you say to the person? Well, this is not a person-submitted question.
Sure.
It's my own question.
Gotcha.
What would you say to the person that is kind of oblivious that it's a toxic relationship, but everyone else is telling them you shouldn't be with that person?
Yeah, that's a hard situation because, you know, like, I guess from the outsiders, you know that their relationship is not godly. So, I mean, I think you definitely need a friend to speak into their relationship and tell them, like, hey, I don't think this is the most godly thing. I think that would be the most loving thing to do in that situation. Is that kind of the direction you're kind of going with? Yeah. I would say, like, a kind rebuke from a friend, but I don't know what you guys would say.
Yeah, I think if you really have good friends that really want the best for you, they're not afraid to tell you, and if they see your inactivity, I think they're going to step in and say, like you said, really help you kind of transition out of there, because we all have blind spots and whatnot. But I think the closest and realest friends you'll have are the ones that'll pull you from things that you don't even see, or you might think you enjoy for some reason, but it's all like you said, all red flags, and to you it's like, this is the best thing ever. But if it's very obvious, I also think that your circle is very important. As we kind of talked about dating in a group, I think if they're your real friends, and if you have a real good support group, they'll be able to say it without being in fear of losing you as a friend. And if that's the case, be ready to lose a friend. If that's the point that you don't want to listen to us, and I can only do so much, you know.
Yeah, and so, you know, it's hard because that person a lot of times doesn't see that the relationship is toxic.
Sure.
And, you know, a lot of times they won't want to listen to what their friend says because they're so invested in that relationship. But I think from an outsider, the best thing you can do is tell them. Proverbs 27:6 says, "Faithful are the wounds of a friend," and that you know you're loving them by sharing them bad truth or like hard truth. And I think, you know, do your best to listen to your community when they do bring that up to you.
I think that's important.
Yeah,
like to listen.
If you're in a relationship, you need to listen to godly people, what they think about your relationship, because it matters. You know, it matters what they think, if they approve of your relationship. If godly people approve of your relationship.
For sure.
I think if your close friends don't support the relationship, I think it's a big sign to reevaluate.
Because your closest friends know who you are.
Your close Christian friends.
And they also know who the partner is objectively.
Sure.
Not blinded.
Sure. Exactly. Good call.
That's good.
Good call. Okay. Anything to add on to that?
I very much agree with everyone. You know, because I myself, personally, I was in a toxic relationship, and I was that person. I was oblivious to it being toxic, you know. But I believe if you ever find yourself asking this question, it already implies it's already toxic, you know. Like,
you're even questioning.
You just gotta get out there. But yeah, like there's some exceptions. If you're if you're married, that's
that's a whole nother
story. But yes, just like Sarah said, it's a sign to reevaluate. If you have your close friends telling you that you're in a relationship that maybe it's not good for you, maybe you have to listen to them. Yeah, you gotta reevaluate and you gotta pray about it, you know. And you have to have the courage to leave that relationship because you can postpone it, but you gotta get out there.
True.
That's all I could say.
That's good, man.
Yeah,
that's good.
Thanks for adding on. Next question we have. They are asking: is there such a thing as the one? The soulmate. Does a soulmate exist? Is it real? What do you guys think about that?
No.
No.
No. On what basis?
Well, I don't think there's the one when you were dating, but there's the one when you get married. You know, like you can't get out of.
Gotcha.
Sure. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think.
Sure.
Because when people ask that question, they're thinking like, is there the person who's like completely compatible with me?
Yeah.
You know, the person who we love playing basketball together. We have the same interests. We watch the same movies, and we both love Jesus together. And like,
if this is not this is not it, then I don't know what else.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. Like they're asking like, is there a person who is like completely in sync with everything that I want? And you know, there might be a person who is really compatible with you, but you know, there also might be a person who doesn't like the same stuff as you. But I think if God is in the center, then that is really the glue that makes the relationship work. I mean, because you know, for me and Sarah, like, you know, I love watching movies. And Marvel movies. She didn't like it or she doesn't love all the movies so much. You know, like things like rock climbing and different stuff. We both have different characteristics, different tendencies, different stuff. Yeah. But I think, you know, if God is in the middle of it, then, you know, you're not looking for that one person who's like, man, this is the match for me. But you're just looking for a godly person, I think is the main criteria, is what I would start with.
For sure.
And my answer to that question is yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, because there is certainly someone out there that can put up with you, you know. And like, I'm saying that because like you can never find a perfect relationship per se.
Yeah.
You know, there's no such thing. You know, and there's no such thing as a perfect partner. You can't expect that, and you will find things that you have different, right? And sometimes you will find yourself in situations where you don't agree with each other.
Yeah.
You know, but yes, there is a person that is like, just like you said, is more compatible with you and can put up with you through thick and thin. You know, through the hard times and the good times. And that's why my answer to that is like yes and no.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, and again, in the marriage context, it's even more different. But even in the process of praying for a partner, I remember, like you said, for me, the biggest thing was, God, I just pray that she loves you, you know, first and foremost, and that she loves you more than she'll ever love me. And I think if that's your honest and true prayer, I think anything else is just extra. And with saying that, I kind of want to segue into the next set of questions, which is love a feeling, is it a commitment, or is it both? And how do you know if you love someone, or is love conditional or unconditional? And I say that in linking it to the one or the soulmate, because for me, I think loving somebody, like truly loving somebody, it doesn't matter if they're your most compatible person. It has nothing to do with their perfect connection with you, and it could help. But I think if it goes away, asking yourself like, would I still love them? I think that's already a no. But being committed to someone means you accept them for whatever comes, and whatever is good or whatever is bad or whatever is ugly, whatever is beautiful. You love them all the same, like through the relationship. And I think the key point to that is to make sure that you see how Jesus loves the church, to the point that he would die for the church. And I think in that context, as sinners, like, how would anyone want to sacrifice themselves for people that they don't know, that are criminals, that are people that just fall short every day, yet be willing to say, I'm going to die for these people because I love them that much. And so, again, to kind of just reiterate the question, is love a feeling? Is it a commitment, or both? And how do you know if you love them? And then also, is love conditional or unconditional? So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Okay. So I think, love, it can be both a feeling and a commitment. Because again, like, there in Song of Solomon, there's a lot of feelings of love in the air, kind of things going on in that book. And so I think it's good that you feel a sense of love and romance for your significant other. And I think also, there will be a lot of times where the feelings are not there, and you're hungry and you're tired and you don't want to. You have no feeling. You feel angry, and at that point, that's where commitment comes in, and commitment should really be throughout the whole thing. But that's pretty much what marriage is founded on, is that you guys bond together in a covenant of oneness, that you are committing to one another. And so I think it's both. So what do you guys
Thoughts?
What do you guys say?
What do you guys think about that?
What say ye? Feeling, commitment.
I agree with what you just said, because just like you said, for me, it's both, because God gave us emotion, right? And, God gave us the ability to have affections, right?
True.
So, but at the same time, right? Those emotions, those feelings, and affection for one another, they don't last, right? It can be temporary.
It's fickle.
You may find yourself in a situation where, like you said, you're hungry, you're angry, you're
out of there,
angry, right? And you don't even have the energy to love your partner, right? In those situations, that's where commitment kicks in. You remember the time you made a covenant, not only to your partner, but you made a covenant to your God, that for better or for worse, you're gonna try your best to love this person, just as how Jesus would love the church. So that's my take on that one.
I think it's both too. Speaking in the context of dating, it's definitely the feeling first before the commitment.
Sure, of course.
And I think like the honeymoon stage and the beginning stages of dating is like God intended it to be very
romantic.
And I think that He made it very special. And then that's when you decide to commit. And so throughout that, you kind of get both, but the commitment is what should stay, because like what you said, feelings kind of come and go, and like when you get married, one day you're not going to feel those things. Like what's going to make you stay? What's going to make you love that person still? And it is the commitment, the covenant you made, and serving that other person, just like Jesus did for the church. I think that is the big, like, really remembering the model that was already shown to us, and how it relates to marriage.
For sure. Good stuff. So let's move on. This is a really good question. Do you have to be taught how to love? Do you have to be taught how to love? It's a good one. What do you guys?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think inherently, from by birth, whatever, we are sinful beings, and so we have to retrain our hearts to love the way God wants us to. And so, in the New Testament, Paul, 1 Corinthians 13 tells us, love is patient, love is kind. And he's telling us what love is because he wants us to train ourselves to, embody those things. He's basically telling you that, like, you ought to love this way. You need to train your heart to love this way. And so I think we do need to learn to love. And like you guys were saying, looking at the model of Jesus, that's how we learn to love, by receiving from him and then therefore modeling what he did for us. So it doesn't come naturally.
Yeah. Also, we're very, very selfish people. Even when we accept Jesus, we are still very selfish. So you kind of have to deny these selfish desires when you are married, and really thinking about, I'm not married, but I'm sure you could like speak a lot to this, where you have to really consider your wife more.
Especially when you have kids too, right?
That too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
and
another
you can't do that based on just what you feel. You have to be taught how to love selflessly. So, what was the question?
Yeah, do you have to be taught? Do you have to be taught? No, you're right there, though.
Yeah, you were there.
Do you have to be taught how to love?
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's hard, and I agree with both, because you also have to retrain. Because just when you think you've got it figured out, something comes up and it just derails your thought or your patterns of love. And so you definitely have to consistently make an effort to say, okay, let me follow Jesus again. Let's see how he would do this again. Let's see how he would process this again. Because just when you think you've got it, I think that's the biggest fault for many people, including myself, is that, okay, this is how it happened last time. But no relationship or no situation is ever exactly the same. And so you always have to go back to the well, back to the fountain, and ask Jesus, Lord, how do we do this again? What does love look like again? And so, all the more in marriage, like you said, because it's not just an individual perception of life, but now you're not only thinking about just yourself, but another person, how you can love that person more than yourself. And so, it's definitely something that you have to learn and be taught how to love. But also be careful, because you can be taught how to love wrongly from different sources. And Hollywood shows you how to love, and celebrities have 18 divorces, 15 divorces, and they call it love. And so you also have to look at the source and look at the root of who's teaching you how to love. And I think the Bible is a full story. It's a love story, like of God and of Jesus, and how we can take that model and really apply it even to this day. So you have to be taught how to love.
Also, I just wanted to add one thing to that.
Sure.
Besides the modeling Christ's love, it's also important to know that your partner does not receive love the same way you receive love.
True.
So there's this thing called love languages. And each person is designed differently. They're wired differently. And the way I feel love from Jeremy is not how you would want to feel love from someone else, you know?
You heard that, Jeremy?
So I...
Just checking.
So,
sure.
Like
I got
for
you.
me, I really... the wife was calling. I really value quality time, and how I feel loved is when we spend quality time together. And that's just a little subcategory. Really, the thing you want is modeling Jesus' love. But just to know that
it's a helpful tool to do that.
That you can love better.
That's a tool to help you love as Jesus, and to care for your partner. The way God crafted them to be.
I think the problem with answering this question is that we always go by the world's standards. You know, the world defines love as romance, but it's not. You know, those are two different things. You know, like, and love can encompass romance, but it can be like, you know, it's not the same. Because where I'm going with that is because the Bible talks about a different kind of love, and that is agape, right? That means it's defined as what God's love for humans and man's love for God. You know, so it extends beyond our traditional definition of love as being romance. You know, when we talk about love, we talk about, you know, romantic things or romantic you know, feelings, you know, but it goes beyond that, and the Bible shows that. It shows that clearly when we talk about love.
Mm-hmm. Good, man. Good.
The last question we have for this podcast, unfortunately, should you avoid a relationship if a person does not believe in God? And can a person who doesn't follow God be in a loving relationship? Which I think is connected to being taught how to love too. But what do you guys think about that?
Mm-hmm.
Good question.
Yeah, it's a good question.
It's a good question.
It's a very
valid
question.
Yeah.
You know, the verse that usually pairs with that is like 2 Corinthians 6, which talks about do not be unequally yoked with, you know, for what does like light have to do with darkness and something like that. But yeah, I mean, I think that definitely applies, and I think God did not intend us to date or marry, you know, a Christian to a non-Christian, a believer to a non-believer, because it's like, you know, your faith is supposed to be the most intimate, like, prized thing about your life.
Yeah.
And so if the most, you know, what consumes your life is not shared by your partner, you know, it's kind of hard. It's like, it's not just like a job or anything. It's like a spiritual, intimate thing about you.
Yeah.
And so it becomes hard. You know, you're either going to compromise your faith or you're going to, you're going to have or compromise the relationship. That's right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Sure. What about you guys? What do you think?
For me, if you ever find yourself asking this question, it just implies that you're not ready for a relationship, you know?
Sure.
Because you have to, just like Jeremy said, like, if you pursue a relationship that it's not right before God, you know, you would find yourself compromising a lot, you know, and of course, you have affections for this partner and you will respect her and whatever she says or whatever she does, right? But that will put you in situations where you will compromise, and you gotta choose. And before you pursue this relationship, you gotta evaluate and you gotta pray about it. And that's all I got.
That's a lot, man. That's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Sarah,
what do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with the both of you. I don't think a relationship would flourish and thrive as it should if you were dating someone that doesn't see God as you do.
Yeah.
And with that comes values, and they're not going to value the same things you do. And the thing is, like, your identity is in God, and when your partner doesn't have that identity, things are gonna clash. It's gonna clash pretty hard.
It's like a joke to them,
Yeah, and they won't understand why you go to church.
Yeah.
They won't understand why you take an hour every morning to be by yourself and pray. And I think just in the context of dating, it doesn't seem real. Like, these problems don't seem real when you're thinking of prospects to date. But it is. It is. There's a saying, like, it's better to be single and lonely than to be married and lonely. And I think that's very true, because if you commit to a person that doesn't have Jesus, then you will be lonely. Especially, you said, like, it's the most intimate part about you. And you can't share it with the person you love the most. And I just don't think the relationship would flourish as it should.
I agree 100%. I don't think I could say it in a much better way than those answers. So with that being said, the episode for WildFire Side Chat on Love Month is wrapped up. So again, thank you for everyone who submitted their questions, and hopefully you were able to find your answer.
Yeah, hopefully that was
if anything, and helpful to you guys. And we love doing this. Thank you guys for Rico and Sarah again for joining us.
Yeah,
Jeremy, of course. And my wife in the background. Make sure the battery's good. So thank you. But let's do this again for next month, and we'll keep you guys posted and updated on the next podcast. See you guys. Peace.
Yeah, look at each other, look at the
Check
camera.
your hair.
If you want.
Check your hair if you're good.
Because technically they're going to see it as a video, so we could look at the camera.
Yeah, you can definitely look.
Okay.
You don't have to like ignore
Everybody's
expressions, I guess.
looking good.
Yeah. Great.
Looking great.
I can't help it.
Yeah, well, it's easier for you guys because you're in the front, so we have to.
I can't help it. It's looking at me. You know.
It's recording already.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, here we go. Recording in 3, 2, 1.